To discuss about the magnetism. This is the first lecture on it. To begin with, we should be defining magnet and magnetism. Should be knowing that a material which has both attractive and directive property is termed as a magnet, and the phenomenon of attraction is termed as magnetism. So it means if the definition is being asked from you, then magnetism is the phenomenon of attracting the magnetic substance like iron, nickel, cobalt, etc., while a body which is possessing the property of magnetism is termed as a magnet. Of course, we can talk about the magnetic and non-magnetic substances. So magnetic substances, they are being attracted by the magnet, while the non-magnetic substances, they are not attracted by the magnet. Of course, initially when you go with the things, then magnet, it was taken out naturally from under the earth, and the material which is mineral was found was termed as magnetite, and this property was discovered through this awareness of the lodestones only. But the strength of the natural magnet is quite weak, so we have designed the artificial magnets. It means man-made magnets, which are having of different shapes like bar magnet, ring magnet, horseshoe magnet, magnetic needle. You must have used in your clothes, also in your watches. I mean, it is already said to find the direction. So it is a very light, and of course it is simply to find the direction of the geographic north and geographic south. We can have the disc magnet, which can be used in various equipments, and it is of course the strong magnet. And the question can be asked from you that you have to name the alloy which is used to make the artificial magnet. You should be knowing the answer is alnico, which is of course an alloy of nickel and cobalt and aluminum. So all these things you people should be aware of. And of course these are the poles of the magnet where the magnetic strength is found to be more. Those are termed as the magnetic. And earth, of course, is a natural magnet. When you go with the basic properties of the magnet, of course it has the attractive property. It attracts the magnetic substances. It has the directive property. It means if you freely suspend the magnet, it always stays in the direction of geographic north and south. Like poles, they always repel, while unlike poles, they attract. And the magnetic poles, they always exist in pairs. It means if I take a magnet, I cut into two pieces, then the poles are again created, but you cannot have the single pole, means monopoles, they do not exist. You should be knowing this. And of course, if I rub the bar magnet with an iron needle number of times, then I can make the magnetic substance also a magnet, temporary magnet I can say. And this phenomenon is termed as magnetic induction. So it means magnetic properties can be induced in the magnetic substances with the help of magnet. Of course, when we talk about the artificial magnet, we are having the electromagnet, which are the strong magnets with us, and we are using it for various purposes. If I have to represent the magnetic field, uniform magnetic field, of course I should be able to define magnetic field. That is the region around the magnet in which you can experience the force because of that magnet. And if I want to represent uniform magnetic field, it is represented by the lines equispaced parallel to each other. And this is representing the magnetic field in the plane of paper. I mean, here in this plane of this diagram or of the screen, I can see. If I have equispaced crosses, then they are representing again the uniform field, but which is perpendicular to the paper, and into it, it means inwards. And if I have the dots equispaced, then they represent again uniform magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of paper, and emerging out of its plane, it means outwards field. So this is the representation. You should be aware of how to represent the magnetic field. Of course, the symbol is V. Capital V we use with a vector sign. It's a vector quantity because it has a direction. If I talk about the bar magnet, this is the bar magnet diagram with you. This I have drawn to make you aware of the properties of the magnetic field lines. Magnetic field lines, of course, these are the temporary lines which are representing the magnetic field, which is the real. So it's similar to your electric field lines. So where the electric field, these lines have more dense, that point is representing the your it means magnetic field is strong. So more density means stronger magnetic field. And if I draw a tangent at a particular point on this line, then it is representing the magnetic field at that point. And of course, these lines, they are emerging from the north pole and they go into the inwards into the south pole and comes out of the north pole. So these are forming the closed loops. It means they go inside the magnet from south to north, and outside it is north to south. So of course, magnetic field lines, they cannot cross each other, because if they cross, then you will be getting two directions at a single point, which is not possible. So we can have the magnetic field inside as well as outside the magnet. You should be knowing all these things. These are the properties of the magnetic field line, similar to the electric field lines. Only one difference you have to keep it in mind, that electric field lines, they do not form the closed loop, but magnetic field lines, they form the closed loop. If I talk about the bar magnet, I can suspend the bar magnet. All the properties of the magnet can be seen in the bar magnet. It stays, it means your directive property stays always in the north-south direction. Unlike poles, they attract, while like poles, they repel each other. Magnetic poles, they always exist in pairs. Of course, we cannot separate the poles. It means monopoles, they do not exist. It can induce the magnetism in the other magnetic substances. Of course, it is attracting the magnetic substances. So all these properties of the bar magnet you should be clear of, and that attraction is of course more at the poles, at the magnetic poles I can say. And if you to check for the magnetism, then repulsion is termed as the surest test of magnetization, because a magnet can attract the opposite pole of the other magnet as well. It can attract the same shape. If we take an iron bar, it will be attracting that, but if it repels the other magnet, then it makes it sure that the given substance is a magnet with you. So you should be knowing that repulsion is the surest test of magnetism. And if I join the line of passing through the north and south pole, that is giving me the magnetic axis, and a line perpendicular to it passing through the center of the bar magnet is giving me the magnetic equator. These terms we will be using, of course, because we have to discuss in detail about the thing. So you should be able to define all these terms. And the geometric length is, if I take a bar magnet, I draw its boundary, and then AB I am getting as the geometric length, while the magnetic poles are found little inside the ends, that is represented here by N and S, that is giving me the magnetic length. So magnetic length is found to be less than the geometric length, and if you take the ratio magnetic length to geometric length, it is coming out to be 0.84. Coulomb's law, if we talk in terms of the Coulomb's law, then I will be having the concept of pole strength. These poles are separated by some distance, and the strength of a pole is termed as the pole strength. So magnetic force is directly proportional to the product of the pole strengths and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Pole strength you can represent by Qm1, Qm2, or simply by M1, M2. This mu naught upon 4 pi epsilon naught is the proportionality constant. And if you want to write in vector form, of course you can write. But you should be aware of that monopoles, they do not exist. So this concept is only given to define the magnetic dipole or the magnetic dipole moment. Otherwise, it's not having any physical significance in magnetism. There is no significance of Coulomb's law. Magnetic dipole, if I say, then that is, of course, consisting of magnetic poles separated by the small distance, that is forming the magnetic dipole. And magnetic dipole moment is the product of the pole strength and the separation between them. Separation here we have taken, that is twice of L, just for the convenience, as we have done in the electric dipole. It is denoted by M. So M can be written as QM into 2L, or you can write capital M as M into 2L. Direction is always from south to north. Direction of the dipole moment is from south to north. That should be clear to you. That is very important. Unit of the pole strength is ampere meter. So unit of the dipole moment is ampere meter square, or you can say joule per Tesla. Of course, you should be able to write its dimensional formula also. So all these things you should be aware. This is very important from your CBSE examination point of view, and we have discussed in the magnetic effects of current also that if I make the electric current to pass through a circular loop, then it behaves like a magnet, because here if you see from this side, if the current is flowing in the anti-clockwise direction, that side you are taking it as north pole. And if you take the paper, you draw it like this, and from other side of the paper if you see, you will find as if the current is flowing in the clockwise direction, and that is looking like written S. So that behaves like the south pole, like the two sides of the same coin, you can say, but it's a ring. Of course, you should be aware of all these things. And magnetic dipole moment for the circular ring or the loop, I can say, is given by I into A. If I have n number of loops with me, then I have to multiply it with the number n, total number of loops. And of course, unit of the magnetic dipole moment is ampere meter square, as we have already discussed. And from here also you can find this unit, because A is the area of the current loop or the ring, I can say. So unit of the area is meter and current is ampere. So unit you are getting ampere meter square. Very important with you, you can be asked to derive the expression for the magnetic dipole moment for this orbit. When we talk about the Neil Bohr atomic module, we know that electron is moving in the orbit which is there out, and inside we are having a positively charged nucleus. Of course, if this is the direction of the electron, then the direction of the conventional current is opposite to the electronic current. So this is the direction of the current, you can see. And by knowing the direction of the current, you can say find the south and north pole, and dipole moment is always from south to north. So by that you can calculate the direction of the magnetic dipole moment, which is here represented as mu. Mu L, we are writing it for orbital magnetic moment. That you should be aware of. Whatever symbol you are using, you should always mention the things. Now, if current I is passing through it, then current is given by E upon T, charge upon time. So, T is the time period of revolution of the electron. If I suppose V is the orbital velocity or orbital speed of the electron, then you can write the formula for T, which is equals to 2 pi r upon V. V is the speed. So from here you can get the value of I in this formula. If you put the value of capital T, you are getting I equals to EV upon 2 pi r. So if I put this value for the formula with the magnetic dipole moment with me, I am getting mu L equals to IA, and A is the area. If I take R as the radius of this orbit, then area is pi r square. So on calculating, you will be getting that the mu L, it is equals to EBR by 2. Now this is the basic result with you. You can always keep this result in your mind. But of course, we can write it in different terms as well. If I multiply with the mass of the electron m in the numerator and the denominator, I am getting EVR multiplied by m at both the places. Then what happens, this mvr is the angular momentum. It can be written by capital L. So L is the angular momentum, which is of course mu L. I can write E upon 2m into angular momentum. So this is the another way of writing it. Now this, if I write mu L upon L, that is coming out to be E upon 2m. Electronic charge is a constant, mass is also constant. So this is termed as gyromagnetic ratio, which is a constant, and its value is found to be 8.8 into 10 to the power 10 coulomb per kilogram. So, but Neil has already suggested that this angular momentum is nh upon 2 pi. It means the integral multiple of h upon 2 pi, where h is Planck's constant. So, if you put this value of angular momentum in this formula, then you can write the formula for orbital magnetic another way, that we are getting the value is mu L is coming out to be NEH upon 4 pi m. So for this you can write it as EH upon 4 pi m into N. And the minimum value is 1 only, and this value is termed as Bohr magneton. And if you put the value of E, H and M and pi, we are getting the result for the Bohr magneton is 9.27 into 10 raised to the power minus 24 ampere meter square. Of course, this is to add to your knowledge that in addition to the orbital magnetic moment, it is because the electron is having the spin motion also. So, spin magnetic moment also is there, and we can find the resultant by taking the vector sum, because these are vector quantities. So, keep the things up to this. Thank you everyone.